Today, we're going to be talking about the Confederate flags. And yes, that is flags plural. The Confederate States of America and their military had various different flags, and we'll be talking about the main ones, as well as any ones I thought were interesting. I'll probably make a separate video on Confederate state flags. So, let's begin. Early on, most secessionists still used modified versions of the U.S. flag, the Stars and Stripes, such as these from 1860 or 1861, and this one from as far back as 1858. Other examples include this secessionist flag from Missouri, and this one from Florida, which honestly looks more Liberian than Confederate. There were loads that followed this basic idea, but few survived. The first flags, which were meaningfully different from the American flag, were from South Carolina. This was when the palmetto first started to be used on flags in that state, ultimately giving us what is essentially the same as the modern state flag. The most iconic of the South Carolinian secession flags, however, is this one, called the Sovereignty flag. It should look a bit familiar. Another distinct Confederate flag was the Bonnie Blue flag, which had been initially flown by a breakaway state in what is now Louisiana and Mississippi, located along the Gulf of Mexico, known as the Republic of West Florida, or the Tidewater Republic. The Republic was pretty quickly annexed following its creation in 1810, and its flag went with it, but it was revived when Texas began its revolution as the Burn It flag, and is in fact the reason Texas has a star on its flag at all. After the Texan Revolution, the flag once again fell into obscurity until Mississippi used it as a flag during secession. They didn't just use their state flag because they didn't have one. Georgia adopted a similar flag when it seceded, but featuring a red star and a white background. This flag in turn was used by Louisiana when it seceded, only they added a pelican, which had been on another secession flag of theirs, and remains on their flag and seal to this day. Louisiana switched to an all-new design based loosely off the U.S. flag once they had seceded, however its use was discontinued once Louisiana joined the Confederacy. Once the seceding states had band together as a CSA, a national flag was needed. The new government set up a flag committee and began accepting submissions from the public. Most designs fell into two categories, ones that aped America and the ones that were kind of weird. These are some examples of the first and much larger category. As you can see, they're just sort of uninspired, though some are a bit more unique. Then there are the weird ones. I don't even know what half of these are supposed to be. They're just completely random, it seems. A design made by one William Porcher Miles balanced uniqueness and familiarity that it became one of the most enduring symbols of the Confederacy. It was, in fact, based on that one South Carolina flag from earlier. In the end, however, it lost to the Stars and Bars. Side note, the Stars and Bars are this flag, not this one. This name can cause some confusion, but when I say Stars and Bars, I mean the first national flag of the good old CS of A. Not this, which is the battle flag. Alright, the Stars and Bars are pretty clearly based off the Union flag, featuring 3 bars of red, white, and red, as well as a blue canton and one white 5-pointed star corresponding with each state. The similarities of this design would cause a lot of confusion in the early war, especially when Confederates were still commonly seen wearing blue, and Northern militias still wore gray. There would be friendly fire on both sides, partially because of this unfortunate flag pick. To avoid future incidents, Commander of the Army of Northern Virginia, P.G.T. Beauregard, adopted William Porcher Miles' flag as a battle flag to clearly mark out their units as Confederate. The Stars and Bars would remain as the national flag though, and many variations would be made, especially since they weren't very standardized. Some examples include General Robert E. Lee's headquarters flag, this flag used by the Cherokee Indians, this one used by the 11th Mississippi Cavalry, this one used by the Confederate Marine Corps, or the J.P. Gillis flag from California, of all places. Eventually, the Confederate battle flag would become the standard throughout the Army though, with various forms being adopted for the Army of Tennessee, Army of the Trans-Mississippi, and the Navy. Some interesting variations include the 11th Mississippi Infantry flag, flag of Forrest's Cavalry Corps, the Kentucky battle flag, the 39th North Carolina Infantry battle flag, which honestly looks like a completely different flag, and the 1st Florida Infantry battle flag. There were countless battle flags, however, and sometimes they bore no resemblance to the more common designs. Some really different ones include the flag of the Confederate Army of the Peninsula, which just features two triangles, one red and one white. Then there's Polk's battle flag, also based on the South Carolinian secession flag, featuring a red St. George's cross trimmed in white on a blue background with 11 white stars on the cross. Then there's also Hardee's battle flag, featuring a white circle on a blue background. Unit designation was usually written in the circle. The battle flag of Breckinridge's division featured a red cross with 13 white stars on it on a blue background. Several designs from Missouri used a white cross on either a blue or red background. Confederate guerrilla in Missouri, William Quantrill, is said to have used a black flag with either a Q or Quantrill written on it, which was carried during the raid on Lawrence, Missouri. The accuracy of it is called into question, however. Cole Younger, a Confederate guerrilla and future outlaw who rode with Quantrill during the war, would write in his memoirs, "One of the treasures we carried out of Lawrence that day, however, was Jim Lane's black flag, with the inscription, 'Presented to General James H. Lane by the ladies of Leavenworth.' That is the only black flag I knew anything about in connection with the Lawrence raid." Jim Lane was a Union general, implying that the flag was looted from the enemy and was actually a Union flag. This is compounded by the fact that what exactly was written on it varies depending on who you ask, as does the color, which most commonly is either red or white. It's possible that they used a flag loaded from General Jim Lane and it just got embellished over time. A battle flag I really like is the Sibley flag, used during the CSA during General Henry Hopkins Sibley's invasion of New Mexico. It's just a red bonnie blue flag, and there's something I really like about it. The Van Dorn battle flag is a major outlier, looking more Islamic or Ottoman than Confederate. It consisted of a white crescent moon with 13 white stars on a red background, fringed with gold. I could go on. There are medieval-looking flags, French-looking flags, Ottoman-looking ones, etc. Many have probably been lost to history. But even so, not everyone had a battle flag, and many just flew the stars and bars, and confusion still happened. So in 1863, the national flag was changed to the stainless banner, which consisted of the Northern Virginia battle flag in the canton on a white background. This had a different problem though, as it looked like a flag of surrender, which come 1864 and 1865 was happening a fair amount. The Confederates would fly a flag of surrender and still be fired on, and they would fly their national flag and be mistaken for a surrender. This was not rectified until 1865, when the war was basically over. The flag they adopted was the same as the stainless banner, but with a big red stripe on it. This flag was referred to as the Bloodstained Banner, soon after the war ended. After that, all three national flags and the Bonnie Blue and various battle flags were all used by enthusiasts and war remembrance organizations, but eventually a variant of the Northern Virginia battle flag emerged as the so-called Confederate battle flag, which is still used to this day as a symbol of the South and Confederate remembrance. Alright, that's a pretty decent overview and a decent sampling of flags. I know this might be controversial, but don't start turf wars in the comments. Like and subscribe or whatever.